Welcome to Statesmen, the podcast where we explore all 50 states with our 5 senses. If you've come here for history, we're giving you none. This is a bonus episode, so all of this will be half-baked opinion that is never intended to harm or offend anyone. Movement. To exist is to move, sliding like a body covered in Vaseline down the eternal slip and slide. But this slip and slide, our slip and slide of life, the universe, the world, is just a grand tarp with the occasional rough patch that shaves our belly skin raw and tender. It's a fact of life and simple truism. There will be hardship no matter what slide you're on. This slide, the March slide, is coming to an end. Come to our house. Our slide is equipped with 1080p video streaming capabilities 24/7, and it's wet. We welcome you to March Onward.
Here come them dang Statesmen boys again.
I'm your older statesman, Tim Ferrari, along with my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi.
Cinema, yes, please.
And Stuart Icar.
Film? How about kiln? I'm more into clay.
Nice. And absolutely fiery, just like a kiln. Those two intros.
Hell yeah. We're baking on this one. We're baking, waking, traking. Tim?
The jokes are sizzling. The atmosphere in our apartment is absolutely sizzling as well, just like bacon on a griddle. Wouldn't you say, Anthony?
Absolutely. It's time for breakfast.
We've turned up the heat on our apartment to kill off any remnants of the coronavirus. It's 115 degrees in here, and we're looking to sweat today.
The Pepsi thermometer has once again broken past 5 million degrees Fahrenheit. We're cooking with gas.
Absolutely. It's been about a week exactly since we recorded our last episode.
An iconic episode, wouldn't you say?
Iconic. And since then, all we've been drinking is Green River. Just carrying on.
Green River soda. I remember the taste like it was yesterday.
Since we last recorded, how many times have you guys been outside?
2 or 3, maybe.
Maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
since last Sunday, 3 times. And once to go to see Mel, my girlfriend, and then...
Name drop.
And then twice just to be outside on the patio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For all the listeners at home, of course, the Stu Studio is equipped with a beautiful patio and outdoor space for grilling, chilling, and having fun with your friends.
And croquet.
Okay, all right, come on. In these times, we need any game that has no human contact. Croquet, of course, one of them.
Yeah. What games have we been playing in the past couple of weeks? We've been playing Apex Legends, Stu and I.
Oh, of course, and I'll shout out our gamer tags. I'm Merry Grinchmas.
You can find me at Infected Butt. Please add us.
And I'm not online because I didn't want to pay for it, and I hate interacting with strangers.
Yeah, you're scared to be online.
You're scared that someone's going to kidnap you, right, through the wires?
No, I'm more scared that somebody's going to relentlessly bully me for just starting a game. I don't find jumping into games like Apex Legends fun because you don't have a chance to learn how to play.
I think your problem is that you need to jump into ranked play immediately, so you're playing with other newbies. Isn't that right, Tim?
Yeah, the best kinds of newbies. Newbies that have been playing video games since they crawled out of the womb. Like Stu and I.
Wombies, you might call them.
Woombies, yes.
Yeah.
We are woombies.
So I've been dedicating my time to single-player experiences like Madden, and I just downloaded Destroy All Humans at the recommendation of Tim Ferrari.
Wait, Madden isn't a single-player game. There are many players on the field.
55 of them on every team.
Jesus Christ. It's actually 53. I just cut down some rosters today.
Jesus, that's
Wow, a
tough in the
shame.
middle of the virus.
But Destroy All Humans, Anthony, a little topical, don't you think?
Oh, God. Well, now I don't want to play it anymore. I also downloaded Bully so that I could get my bullying out online.
Anthony.
Yeah, a little topical
as well on that one, huh?
What are you saying?
I've cried in my room every night since last Sunday.
And it's because of the stuff that you've been saying to Tim before he goes to bed.
That's
honestly.
horrible.
Yeah,
I'm a nice person.
You are a nice person. That's a total facetious lie.
I think all 3 of us are good people, good guys, and there is a 4th good, let's call him a nice guy at the table.
Absolutely.
A white knight, if you will.
Oh, well, let's maybe not call him that. God. Well, Camden's at the table.
Hey guys, really excited, with the virus going around and us being shut in, really excited to review some Quentin Quarantino today.
Yikes.
Wow, you told us that you had a joke prepared for us before.
And you
wow.
weren't lying, were you? Camden came on the mic ready to spit, and spit he did.
Honestly, that was a pretty good double alliterative right there.
Not spitting on you guys, though, just to be clear.
Yeah.
We're being very safe. Everybody's washed their hands before we started recording.
Yeah, all four of us bought funny Matt Gaetz haha gas masks that we wore to the floor of the Senate like that little dumbass. And we're doing actually really, really well. Tim, what are you thinking?
Yeah, throw it over to me.
Sorry, you made a noise. I thought you might be interested. Let's talk about it again. Guys, what are we doing to avoid spreading the virus within our own home?
I've actually had a problem recently where I'm washing my hands too much and my hands are cracking.
Your poor little hands.
They're powdery. If you rub my hands together, you'd get Parmesan cheese.
Normally, the only thing cracking in this house is us when we make jokes, cracking up, right? But now it's our hands?
Your Parmesan cheese hands and marinara blood.
Absolutely, like any true upstate New Yorker.
Which part of you is the bread? Would you say is the crust?
Like Jesus, my body is bread. I've been trying to combat my dry ass hands with some lotion. And hey, I have to tell you, I hate having lotion on my hands. I don't like feeling like there's a thick layer of something on my hands.
Lotion slaps. More men need to be lotioning their hands.
Yeah, I just wish it would dissolve into my skin quicker so I didn't have to like sit around and wait.
Yeah, I don't like oily hands. I don't like slippery hands, and I don't like touching things when my hands are slippery and it's going to get on it. It's like gross.
That's real. I mean, you were talking about that slip and slide earlier, though.
I was.
What about a slip and slide covered in lotion?
I mean, that sounds like the best possible scenario, no?
No, I don't think that would work.
You get moisturized and you have a bunch of fun.
Oh, and your friends are there as well.
Watching you get oily.
Did you guys ever go on a slip and slide and like you clear the end of it and then you hit the grass on the other side and it's like wet and muddy?
Almost exclusively.
Here's the thing. I've actually never been on a slip and slide before.
Whoa!
Tim, are you saying that?
I've been on a slide and I've slipped.
I have a question for you, Tim. So you're saying in your life, slide. Just no time to slide.
Why are we doing this again?
Yeah, turn this off. A joke that will not die.
Really? It really won't?
Please.
No time.
One thing that I have is a slight cough. I don't know if it's allergies or if I'm sick. So if you hear me coughing, that's
It's actually kind of fun that we're like documenting the weeks of the quarantine through our episodes. You'll like actively be able to watch us change our opinions and personal situations along with it.
Yeah, that is cool. Right? I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this is overtalked.
Yeah, it is. It is overtalked. It's a rough trap to be in because the whole world is going through it and there's no escape. And we've tried mightily to find one.
Yeah, it does feel like it's taking up all my life at this point. But the good news is I have a little bit more life to share with you guys, and that's what I brought on the podcast today. Would you guys, of course, in our last epic episode, I brought on the buns, the French buns. Everybody was talking about them, and it brought a sprig of energy to the show. This time, however, I brought on something else. Tim, would you take a peek at what I'm pulling out from behind this silk curtain?
Yeah, I already know. You brought it out and you put it on the table earlier today, and really great. Awesome.
5 boxes of Cinnamon Life.
Great, Stu. Another visual joke for our listeners across the airwaves.
You guys want to hear it?
He has so much life.
I've heard cats have 9 lives, but me, I have 5 boxes of them.
How much is a pound in ounces? 16?
16.
So 13 ounces in this box.
13 times 5 is what? 75?
Sure.
God damn it.
It's a lot of Cinnamon Life is what I'm saying.
Why? I noticed that it says that it has a new look, and the new look is dyeing the cereal red.
Yeah, it looks like they were just misprinted, probably because I got them right off the damn factory line. I don't know if you see that. Stop it. These are good boxes of Cinnamon Life. I have all 5 of them available for purchase. Anybody who's interested in contacting me and getting a crushed box of Cinnamon Life. And they are crushed. They came in a box already crushed.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a small representation of the amount of food that we've been able to stock up over the course of this thing.
We might be the hoarding problem because not only...
No, I don't think so.
I think I do think we have enough food for us all, and that's good. The problem I think from myself personally was that I went out shopping for myself, and then my mom, out of the kindness of her heart, sent boxes of non-perishable food items to me because I think she assumed that in the cities we would be hit by this plague so much harder. But turns out that grocery stores are fine; they just don't have every flavor of Chobani. They have some,
No, I've been to a couple places that have been completely cleared out.
Yeah,
no
same
Chobani
here.
at all. No Bonnie.
No
Yeah,
Bonnie.
no Bonnie, no milk.
No Bonnie, no Clyde.
I went to a fresh market over on Western that didn't have pasta or any cans of soup. The only cans, minestrone.
Not my favorite kinds of cans.
No, me neither.
Mine are the ones on my ears right now, letting me listen to this podcast.
Camden, have you had any particularly harrowing shopping experiences?
Not particularly. I just think it's very strange that the only thing that everyone seems to be out of is toilet paper.
It's so stupid.
Almost as if people believe that the virus is spread with toilet paper. I don't know.
No, I think I understand the idea of saying I'm going to be trapped in my house. The one thing I do not want to run out of is this. But at the same time, it's and so many people have made this joke, but just wash off your butt with the water in your sink and bathroom.
Yeah, use your shower.
Use the shower, wash your butt.
Or
everybody,
as Governor Mike Huckabee said, just use a used corn cob.
Yeah, Mike Huckabee, a guy who knows the ridges of a corn cob very well. Clean your butts with it.
Has anybody made the joke Huckabee?
Probably.
Is that an old joke?
That's not bad. You want to bring it back?
Yeah. Well,
Hey, how about this? That joke is getting a second life.
Speaking of Second Life, you just had an online improv show.
That's right. In these trying times where we're locked inside, of course, the Crowd Theater is trying to put on all sorts of strange performative pieces, and I performed with a bunch of Cozy members and some friends from Teenage Nicholas with an improvised Second Life. Second Life being the online role-playing sort of large MMO game where you can be yourself or anyone else.
It was really funny how improv finds a way. I could hear you from the other room, and it was heavily delayed, so I'd hear you make one end of a joke, and I was watching from the back room because I wanted to see how this unfolded, and I would hear, it was honestly a full 2-minute delay between when you said it in the room and when it hit on the internet.
Which is not different than listening to an episode of Statesmen where you hear somebody set up a joke and then there's a long delay before anyone sighs and moves on to the next thing.
Oh, man. I do miss comedy, y'all. I miss getting out there.
What do you think we're doing right now?
Ooh.
I do. Yeah. I miss
This
having.
isn't funny.
Okay,
I miss having a
come on.
guest that's not Camden. No offense, Camden.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
It's fucked up. You came
Yeah.
for my man's life.
No, I mean I miss.
No offense taken.
I miss seeing people. Jesus Christ.
Anthony likes the cinnamon
I
life.
don't get it. Hey,
5 boxes.
I'm gonna divert it just over here for just a second. This was an email that we received a long time ago that I forgot to bring up for 3 months.
Oh, no.
shit, okay.
We made the promise that any email that comes into our Statesman Gmail address, we would read live on air unedited.
Right. And so I'm going to read it here. This is from January 9th,
Okay. Wow.
2020.
Wow. Earlier, simpler times.
From Aaron Valusik, a mutual friend of Anthony
Yeah.
and mine from our Loyola days. Hi, Statesman. Loyal listener here. Let me start off by saying congrats on season 1. I think I've listened to each and every episode. Wow, that's great. Hearing Anthony's giggle each week is music to my ears. However, I'm reaching out today to A, clear the air, and B, request credit where credit is due.
Oh, interesting. Scandal.
First off, it was mentioned at the end of the Illinois episode that, quote-unquote, someone called Spencer Rose, an FIB, or a, quote, fucking Illinois bastard, unquote, that, quote, someone, unquote, is me. I did it, Aaron Valusek. For context, an FIB by definition is an overarching term coined by us Wisconsinites and can encompass a lot of different things. If I had to guess, I think it spawned from the Illinois toll system. Charging us money to drive on your highways is super not chill. I would also like to point out that I'm sure Spencer Rose is a very kind man, and I apologize if I hurt his feelings. We actually both graduated from the same film school, UWM, and at the risk of social suicide, I admit that I looked him up on Facebook, and after that episode, we actually have quite a few mutual friends. So I'm sure he's a lovely person, but I speak for every citizen of Wisconsin that when I say it's a complete insult that an FIB by definition represented this delicate, beautiful, and sensitive state. I don't make the rules. I'm just an advocate for my people. Have a lovely day. Best.
Wow.
Wow, I really wish we'd read that sooner.
Yeah, me too.
Hey,
it would be a little bit more poignant, I would
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron, you said that you never miss an episode. You listen to everything. Hey, buddy, get a life.
Oh my God.
No, but thank you for listening.
Aaron, seriously,
Christ.
thank you for listening. I hope you still listen. It's a joy to hear from you. It's been such a long time. Life moves so fast.
Such a
Isn't that crazy?
long
Yeah.
and winding road it's been.
But-
Stu's not shaking those boxes that fast.
God damn it.
Life comes at you fast.
Stu just threw the box at himself.
But Aaron, I completely hear you. I hope that our trip to Wisconsin was a little better and more up to your standards. I think we tried to do a better job and learn from our mistakes of our first trip through Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think the Green Bay episode is just so perfect for all of you cheese heads out there. Go back, give it a listen. It's certainly a fun one.
Well, why don't we get into the body of the episode, wouldn't you say, guys?
I agree. We've been talking about these 5 boxes of cinnamon life for so long. Let's talk about 5 other things.
Yeah, how about 5 other things like the 5 movies we watched last night? What was the date? March 21st, 22nd?
Is there a reason to date it?
I'm just, it's important. It's a day in this quarantine. We have to keep track.
Okay.
Anthony, what day was it yesterday?
March 21st, Saturday, March 21st,
We watched
2020.
5 movies yesterday, March 21st, 2020, and we're going to talk about them and assign the 5 senses to each of those movies.
That's right. In Statesmen, in classic Statesman fashion, we are going to take each of the 5 senses. Let's list them off, boys. Smell,
Sight,
taste.
hearing.
And touch, feeling.
Yep.
Was that all of them?
That was all 5.
Okay.
And we're going to place one of the 5 movies that we watched in a row yesterday into each of these categories. Now, each of them is going to have a perfect reason for fitting there, just like each of these 5 boxes of cinnamon life fit so perfectly together in my hand.
Is this going to be the joke the entire episode? Are you just going to bring it back to the 5 boxes?
What?
Anthony, what movies did we watch yesterday?
Okay, so just a real quick thing to get this out to the audience.
There are really 5 boxes.
There are really 5 boxes of life on the table. They're encroaching upon my space. They're steadily inching towards me. But I do just want to say, we apologize that we've just become another podcast with white men talking about movies. But in these times, we have limited options for ways to fill our time.
We have to fall back. We can either start streaming on Twitch or we can talk about movies on a podcast. We need something.
Right. And just to get that out of the way, we apologize. And here's another precautionary thing. You might be worried that you haven't seen any of these movies and you won't be able to keep up. But let me tell you, these are 5 flicks that everybody has seen.
Top 5 flicks that everyone has seen.
What? Are you sure?
And we're letting you know up front in case, like me, you haven't seen any of these movies going in.
Everyone has seen.
And you can hit pause and watch all of these in a row.
Yes,
and come back
in
and
total,
listen.
it's going to be something like 12 or 13 hours of movies for you to watch. That's one day, though. That's
Yeah.
a single day for you to prepare to listen to this fucking funny podcast.
Camden was not here for this event, but we did watch in order 5 movies, and here they are. Up first, The Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
And then after that,
Wow.
we watched
This is bad.
Roll Bounce.
Nice. Okay.
Dog Tooth.
Ooh, spooky.
Oh my God. This is something else.
It's going to come together in editing.
I really hope so.
Pixar's Onward.
Hey, what's up, Internet? We're about to watch our new trailer for our new movie,
Onward.
There you go.
That's kind of British. Did you hear
It
that?
was good. I like that. It was good. I got 5 out of 10.
5 out of 10? I need 5 more boxes. Okay.
And then finally, we rounded it out with the classic, Camden's favorite movie, Magic Mike.
God damn. Oh man.
What a murderer's row of films.
5 perfect films back to back, all with interconnecting themes, emotions, some actors, and some I don't know, what else were they connected with? Maybe excitement?
I don't know. All the excitement has been sucked out of me, I think, for this podcast.
Do you need a little something to add to your life bar? How can I help, Tim?
I don't know. Put me out of my misery.
When's the last time? It's been a long time since I've been able to watch 5 movies in a day.
Oh yeah.
When's the last time you've embarked on a quest like that?
For me personally, it has to have been a time when I'm like sick at home, because there's no point in my life when I'm thinking to myself like, I have this much time to spend in a single day to do just one activity, and it's like sit on the couch and watch movies. But this virus has made it like socially acceptable to do just that, which is, positive and negative. What about you, Tim?
I think the last time that I watched 5 movies in a row was junior year of college, because I was in a deep depression spiral, and that's all I did.
You remember any of the movies you watched during that period?
I watched a lot of French cinema, a lot of Italian
Uplifting.
cinema. Yeah,
good stuff. Fun.
Yeah, really, really good.
Camden?
I think the last time I watched that much was binging the director's cuts of all 3 Lord of the Rings movies with my dad.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours of film, and still a lot of fun. Tim, I wanted to mention you talked about Italian cinema. Have you ever seen
La Dolce Life, La Dolce Vita? Okay, yeah. Really great. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Here's another one. Life is Beautiful. Okay.
Life of
there
Pi.
You go. Oh.
A Bug's Life.
But smaller because it's a bug. Okay. So we watched 5 movies yesterday.
The Life Aquatic. The last time I watched a lot of movies in a row was probably when I had my wisdom teeth out. I think it was before my junior year of high school. And my mom just went and grabbed me a whole bunch of DVDs from Blockbuster. And I had a big stack, and I was just working my way through.
Any hits in there you remember? Maybe Disturbia?
I vividly remember watching Meet the Spartans while on pills with a frozen bag of peas pressed against my cheek, and I was in so much pain. Just my
because
eyes
of the movie.
I remember like tears coming to my eyes because I was just like fading in and out.
Do you guys remember that string of like Meet the Spartans, epic movie, disaster movie, date movie, like that string of them trying to figure out if they could do scary movie with other genres, and just none of them worked?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, I have seen epic movie a lot of times.
I don't remember epic movie. I remember Year One.
Not funny.
You remember how a superhero movie came out and it was before its time?
Drake Bell, yeah. It was Deadpool before Deadpool.
Imagine if superhero movie came out now and they had all this ammo to work with all these Marvel Cinematic Universe types.
Yeah, imagine that. They'd skewer them, they would.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan Reynolds, come on the pod.
Ryan, get on pod. You like digital marketing.
Hey, you don't like Deadpool.
I like Lifepool. Come on, more lobs for me, please.
Yeah, there you go. You're knocking them out of the park. Okay. We're going to assign these movies to the 5 senses of perception. Starting with the Meg.
All right.
The Meg.
Can we hear the sound cue for the Meg one more time?
Yeah.
Shut up, Meg.
Nice. Okay, that's great. That's really funny.
But we're actually not. We're going to talk about Meg. Huh?
Right. Let's talk about the Meg. What's the Meg about, Anthony?
It has one of my favorite movie stars of all time, Jason Statham. I almost said Jason Statesman.
Jason Statesman.
And it was purely a slip. But he's one of my favorite action movie stars of all time, favorite movie stars in general.
Yeah, he's incredibly charismatic, and I don't think people give him enough credit in modern film for being able to like be versatile and work in like everything from action to comedy and like really like he's solid in everything.
Yeah, definitely. And The Meg is a story of Jason Statham. I'm gonna do it every time I say his name. It's an accident. He plays some sort of marine rescue.
An underwater rescue guy. His name? Jonas.
My name is Jonas.
Oh my God.
He says in the movie.
Yeah. And he is not a wheezer. He actually has plenty of oxygen in his submarine as he descends to assist a crew of scientists who's beset upon by a megalodon.
Whoa, the biggest shark in history. And I'm not talking about Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
Why did you shake them for that one?
I felt like dying after the jokes.
Anyway, it's a big, large-scale action disaster kind of movie. Shark attacks from a huge creature. So it's kind of got that kaiju flair to it. It's a fun one. It's a popcorn movie, definitely a summer action kind of thing.
Also one made for and produced by Chinese audiences, right? You know, like, so producers put all the money. It's produced by Chinese production firms, and it's set in Shanghai. Stars a bunch of Chinese movie stars who some are slightly popping off here and some are less well known. But it's definitely a movie created to do successfully in multiple markets, America and China.
How about this one? Arkansas. Jason Statesman. Arkansas.
What did you guys think of this movie? Let's start with Camden.
Did you see this one?
Yeah, did you see this one, Camden?
No, I didn't. I have not seen The Meg.
Does it sound like a movie you would like?
No, but I do have. I have something. I'm going to do one of those things where I go, I don't know about this, but I know something close to this.
Ah, sure.
Thank you for pointing out you were going to do that.
So I haven't seen The Meg, but I do know about another piece of media that similarly has transcended the national audience and gone on to see global success everywhere. That's also about sharks. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
What is it?
Yeah.
A song about the Meg.
Spoiler alert.
In its
Spoiler
childhood
alert.
times.
There's a baby Meg in the movie that they kill and they think is the main Meg. They're bigger Meg, and he eat baby Meg, and then he is big Meg.
Eat baby Meg.
Damn.
Big Mama Meg, eat baby Meg.
So, I mean, guys, real quick, should we just go around the table and say, out of 5 boxes of Cinnamon Life cereal, how many boxes of Cinnamon Life would you give the movie, Tim?
Yeah, honestly, I give the Meg in terms of what it brings me, in terms of life. Can you go ahead and shake that? I'm gonna say it gives me 5 boxes of life.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We won't do that every time.
Why not? I think that was pretty funny.
Okay.
I don't know. The movie is is really, really bad, but it's such a rousing good time. I mean, you see Jason Statham practically body surf himself being chased by a megalodon.
He's like the worm on a hook.
And what a swimmer that guy is. That guy has just he has a dive. He's got such form.
I revealed to you guys while we were watching that you didn't know Jason Statham was an Olympic diver before he became a movie star in the 90s.
Olympic diver.
I believe he was like never medaled or anything, but was like on the tier of like the British Olympic diving team.
Wow.
Wow.
Florida.
Okay. Anthony, out of 5 boxes of Cinnamon Life, what do you give the Meg?
My brain says probably like 2.5 or 3 boxes of life, but my heart says 4 boxes of life.
1, 2, 3, 4. Nice.
I think that it's a really fun treat because it doesn't take itself too seriously. It honors its world building, but it doesn't do it in a way where it's like and it also doesn't go in the opposite direction and try to be like ironic and like self-aware. It really just has its fun and then it leaves.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of fun. I thought that Jason Statham was dynamite in it, and I could watch him in anything.
For sure. To move on to my review, I'm going to agree with you. 4 boxes of Cinnamon Life from me. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll stop this probably after the Meg one because it's dying. But I think I agree with you. I think there's a lot of these big budget action silly movies now want to like be stupid and dumb, but they want to pretend like they're cool and like they know they're dumb and stupid.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it just makes it feel like hollow and mean and ironic in the wrong way. But the Meg is genuinely dumb and enjoys the fact that it's genuinely dumb. I think it is completely summed up by the final title card saying Finn. Like, that's the last thing you see on the screen. It just says Finn in like fancy cinematic text. It's very, very funny. Silly, and I like it a movie.
What you were describing kind of reminds me of another ocean movie, Hurricane Heist.
Yeah, another movie that's just doggone stupid.
But hollow, because it kind of goes for that, like, tongue-in-cheek. We know that this is a stupid idea, so we're going to jump the shark.
What you need is at least one person on the production team who genuinely thinks the movie's a good idea.
Yeah,
you know?
Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson is the one who was carrying that on the Meg, for sure. Love rain down on me.
Wow. So we've talked about our reviews, but what sense do you think would be the best one to apply to the Meg?
Remember, guys, there's 5 movies and 5 senses. So when we pick one sense for a movie, it's now off the board for the 4 other movies.
That's true. Well, saw some pretty appetizing things in the Meg. We saw an arm. And I'm sure the baby megalodon was tasty for the mama megalodon when she ate the baby.
Yeah. I don't know. I definitely wouldn't want to put it in touch because I wouldn't want to be touched by a giant Meg.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be touched by the Meg either.
Me neither. I wouldn't put it in sound either because obviously you know how I feel about the Meg.
Shut up, Meg.
No, instead I think we should put it in a...
Jesus Christ.
I think we should put it in a different category. I think I would like to put Meg in Sight. I think this is like a big blockbuster cinematic experience that could arguably, because of how simple the dialogue is to work with translation between China and America, you could watch this probably with the sound off and understand what's going on almost all the way through. Every time Jason Statham takes his shirt off, you know you're supposed to clam up. And every time he gets in the water, you know you're supposed to be scared.
I think probably the hardest sense to attribute to one of these movies is going to be smell.
Nah.
There are not a lot of really appetizing smells throughout the course of this. Yeah. And I think I might be willing to eat the smell on this movie because, I mean, ocean air smells pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like fish guts and stuff.
Chum.
But yeah.
There's chums at the table, but not the chum they're working with in this movie.
Yeah. Would you give this movie 2 chums up?
There are a couple of chums in this movie. You know, there's some pretty good buddy action in here.
Man,
There's some jovial stuff.
Maybe smell is the right pick. There are a few moments, especially when the sharks are eating the bombed out whale carcass, where I'm like, I feel like I can smell the blub.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I might also say that, you know, perhaps to avoid the spookiness of the sight, you know, seeing a giant creature before you might be terrifying. Maybe this is a candidate for sound. No,
underwater there is no sound, and we say "Shut up, Meg."
True.
Shut up, Meg.
How do you guys feel about smell? I honestly do think that smell might not be the worst category, but for me, it's sight or smell, and I think both of those are interchangeable with another movie on our list, so I'm feeling pretty comfortable.
See, I think I know where you're going with that, and I also agree. So I'm going to interchangeably choose sight and smell for the Meg.
That means, Anthony, you're going to have to decide whether or not the Meg takes home sight or smell, and these are awards, and they'll be taking home a box of Cinnamon Life.
Wow. There's a lot of weight resting on my shoulders, but I think I know what it's going to be. What's that? Smell!
Wow.
That's awesome.
Smell, yeah.
Oh, Arizona.
Stop.
Well,
wow. So the Meg takes home smell.
Meg takes home smell. That's pretty great. I guess that makes sense. Smelly Meg.
What do you think it smelled like inside of that tech facility?
Oh, probably lemon pledge.
Yeah, I bet they clean up pretty well.
We also watched Roll Bounce.
Welcome back, listeners. We had to cut an entire segment because Stu made a terrible.
I made a joke that was not okay. It was nothing insensitive, but it certainly didn't have the kind of life that we enjoy on this.
It just didn't make any sense, Stuart.
Well, the next movie we watched was Roll Bounce.
This movie fucking slapped.
I had a lot of fun with this movie.
This movie slaps, bounces, and lands.
Stu, why don't you run us through what this movie's all about?
This movie is a fun look back at the world of competitive rollerblading in the late 70s, early 80s, the disco era, the roller rinka. A couple of fun friends from the south side of Chicago get together and take on the snooty Sweetness gang from the north side at their roller rink. And I think they discover that rollerblading isn't just about how technically impressive you are. It's also about the spirit that you bring to the blades.
Now, it did have a lot of misogynistic moments and really
this movie,
problematic jokes.
Jesus has aged so bad from 2005, because it's 2005, which is like already a gross time for Hollywood. But then it's set in the late 70s. So it just doubles down on how awful Brandon T. Jackson is to like women in this movie.
Yeah, pretty much every woman who's featured in this movie is objectified, like with a full moment's pause going, damn!
It's like a scene. Each one needs to take up a whole scene of the movie. But cut that out, and there's a lot of fun rollerblading in it.
Yeah, definitely not forgiving that, but counting it out for the sake of this discussion, I think that, obviously that weighs against it. But the movie itself, beyond that, had a lot of summer fun. It was a really good vibe, to a movie that you don't really get too much now. That, youthful romp, fun summer comedy.
Yeah.
It was super fun. The stakes were incredibly low for the movie. It was like you would win $500 if you won the competition, but I don't think they gave a shit about the money. That wasn't really the point. They were just we're not confident enough in our skating moves yet, and they had to get confident by the end of it. And Bow Wow's the main character.
Yeah, Bow was the main character. There was one moment where there was you know what I could buy with $500? And that's about the extent of the stake.
Yeah, but it's not something I want to bring up with you guys. Do you think his name is Lil Bow Wow? He's not Lil in this movie anymore, and I know now he's adult Bow Wow. What would you call him? Is this preteen Bow Wow?
Bow Wow is a puppy, like a little puppy barking, and then a bark is like an adolescent dog, but maybe he's rough.
Little bark,
rough.
rough
Camden,
bark.
Does this sound like a movie you would enjoy?
Unlikely. I would see it post-ironically just for the Bow Wow factor.
Sure.
See, I thought that was our plan too. Turns out it was fun.
Yeah. The dancing is surprisingly engaging, despite it being quite simple at times. And
there are lots of fun characters throughout. Sweetness is a very fun and silly character. He has there are moments where you have problems with what he's doing, but a lot of it is just goofy and fun. Wayne Brady comes out.
Wayne Brady's really fun. How about Nick Cannon? And let's talk about the trash men.
Oh yeah, Charlie Murphy and Mike Epps.
Yeah. Absolutely destroying it. They have a 7-minute improv scene that has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, but just them doing bits, which I found funny. It was good.
I laughed. I laughed out loud at that movie, genuinely.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
I laughed out loud.
I feel like if I went in and saw that movie with the Meg attitude, and didn't take myself too seriously, just kind of came to have my fun and then leave, 2 chums up.
Yeah, a lot like skating, you would want to go in, have your fun, and leave the rink behind. So, guys, let's give our Cinnamon Life ratings, right, for the movie?
Yeah. I'll start. With the problematic nature of the movie counted into my score, I have to give it a 2. But if I took it out, I would give it a 4.5.
Wow.
The movie's very fun. The dancing's great. And it's a great romping good time.
Stu, don't you dare shake those boxes.
Don't worry. I already felt how awful it was during the first time. I'm not going to do it again. Anthony, out of 5 Cinnamon Life boxes, what are you giving the movie?
I would be tempted to give it a 4.5. But because of the nature of the script, I will dip it down to a 3.
I think that's very, very fair.
I think it's a high ceiling movie. I think it's a lot of fun, and there were lots of really great moments in it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. My score is also going to be 3. out of 5 Cinnamon Life boxes. I wanted to give it 4, one for each of the 4 wheels on each of their skates. But it ended up being 3, which was a lot like Bow Wow's skate that his mom got him that broke and one of the wheels fell off. Remember, Tim?
I actually don't remember that part of the movie.
That was a really big plot point.
Wow. Maybe then I missed it. Jesus. Good Lord.
Do you think maybe they took up rollerblading because just no time for bikes?
Wow. That is
Damn.
getting some
Okay.
mileage. Just like his skates that his mom gave him, huh? Tim, you remember that part of the movie?
I don't remember a single part of that.
What's the next movie, guys? Oh, we need a sense for this one.
We need a sense.
We need to decide which of the remaining 4 senses will go home with roll bounce.
So there was amazing choreography in this, some really fun outfits. I might give this to visual, but that soundtrack was undeniable.
The soundtrack was undeniable, but also the touch of the wheels against that roller rink.
Come on.
Nothing like the sound of, what is it, a polymer against wood?
I suppose so. I think it is a polymer.
Some sort of polymer.
Yes, doctor. I think I have to agree with Anthony on this one. I think sound is the best pick, if only because I think we were all like pleasantly surprised how every scene would just have like a new classic funk song kick in, and it was never a bummer to hear it. It always energizes you and puts you in a good mood for the next scene, which is why I think we all enjoyed this movie more than like we should give it credit for. You know, it just like kept your attention and energy up. So sound be my pick.
Everybody locked in?
Yeah, I think so.
Hell yeah.
Wow. Congratulations, Roll Bounce. You'll be heading home with the sound box of Cinnamon Life. For a sound of that. Okay.
Well, now we enter the period of time where our movie watching took a turn.
Yeah, absolutely. These were 2 family-friendly, fun movies, I think, to start us off. The Meg, maybe
Definitely.
not.
Well, the Meg, PG-13, there's some family drama in there. You know, there's some family-ness to it.
They pull an arm out of the water and like wave it around.
I would also not say that Roll Bounce is a family movie.
We
and
had
family
2
themes.
movies that will not affect our psyche in any way starting the beginning of this. However, our midpoint, I know we've been talking about flattening the curve, but this bell chart just shot up to 11 in terms of freaky.
We watched Dogtooth for our 3rd movie, the Yorgos Lanthimos directorial debut, I want to say.
I believe
was his first one.
Yes, but I think this was his first jump onto the scene. Everybody's seen a Dogtooth. Let's hear it.
Welcome to the Dogtooth segment.
In March, they came and took our children. They took everything from us. The land where we grow our food. The sea where we harvest our fish. There is nothing left now but fire and coal.
But not to mention, so
Cinnamon
much
Life.
life.
Okay. What'd you guys think of that? This is a sad song that I feel like should be put under a woman near a fire talking about the post-apocalypse in Europe.
Yeah, and that shuffling that you heard underneath that track was not the shaking of a life box. It was the frantic dancing of 2 of the main characters.
Yes. Tim, maybe you should describe Dogtooth, and we'll try and help where we can.
This is a doozy to tackle. So we kind of start this movie in a house. It's a very beautiful type of property, kind of modern, big open front yard, and there are these fenced in, and there are 3 children. Presumably, they are children in this house, but they could be adults with simple minds.
I think their ages are probably early 20s, but they sure act like kids, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's basically about these 3 kids who are trapped in this house under this very domineering father, and they've grown up with all these weird sorts of rules. So their interactions with each other and their parents and also an outside world prostitute are like very strange and manufactured.
Yeah, it's basically the story of this father and this mother who have raised these children to only understand the world within their property. So they determine the rules of the society, They scare them into thinking the outside world is going to kill them if they try to
change
leave.
the language they know. They make words mean different things, so there's no way for them to communicate with the outside world.
A bunch of stupid 20-somethings who aren't allowed to leave the house. Did you guys write this movie?
Oh, man.
Come on, man.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Obviously, that's a disturbing premise, but in the reality that the world's the reality that is set by this premise,
Yes.
you see some really dark shit.
Yeah, you see some of the darkest ideas of like human control and subservience and like the idea of training a human like an animal. It's kind of, I think a lot of people in America have read the book or seen the movie Room, which is another story about a child who's grown up in a very small room because of a kidnapping and only knows the world within that and the culture shock that happens outside of that. Now, this movie has no interest in the idea of them finding culture shock outside. It just wants to paint a picture of what life is like within the four walls of this property where these three people have grown up with zero contact with the outside world. I also want to say, like, as we're talking about this is one I would prefer not for us to spoil too much about, because I would encourage like everybody to see this movie.
It is truly a masterstroke of filmmaking. Yorgos Lanthimos, famous for The Favorite that came out last year in 2019, was a fantastic movie as well. And this guy clearly shows a great aptitude for the craft.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's fair to caution the audience, though. Like, it is a heavy movie, a hard R.
One of the hardest R's I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is seriously.
Hold on, let me give that one more time. One of the hardest R's I've ever seen.
It is a tough movie to watch. There's a lot of stuff that is fair to like. It's fair to consider, adding a trigger warning.
Yeah.
It's a really serious movie with serious themes, and it's brutal and stark.
I think what's interesting about it is that it shows so many horrific things, but it doesn't add drama or suspense to those things as much as just shows that they are happening as a normal part of life within the compound. Like, I don't think this is a particularly suspenseful movie, in my opinion. I think it's just a movie that's like, it's like watching from God's perspective of this horrific torture family.
Totally. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating. Is you get this sort of omniscient view of this crazy, unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I think all three of us felt pretty highly of this. But Camden, how'd you feel?
I'm going to take the L on this one. I haven't seen it. You guys know that.
You want to take the L?
I'll take the L.
Three other letters?
I'll take the L as in life on this one. Thank you.
Wow.
On a completely unironic note, I am excited to watch this.
You like dog movies? You see any dog movies?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Marley and Me.
Hell yeah.
A classic. Remember when the stomach flip?
Yeah.
The stomach flip?
That's the spoiler. I think we should just go around the table real quick. I'll start off. Out of 5 boxes of Cinnamon Life, I give this a perfect 5.
Yeah.
This movie absolutely kicks butt. I love simply made pieces of film that are like very small, very contained. There's zero special effects budget. There's zero going on here. It's just so hauntingly created that you can't help but be pulled into this world. Tim?
Same here. If I have to count the letters in the box of life that I'm reading, LIFE, it'd be missing one. 5 stars, baby. 5 boxes.
Okay.
I think Yorgos Lanthimos is up there on my personal list of favorite directors. I think that we did deduct points from the score of Roll Bounce because it was problematic. I don't think that this was necessarily problematic, but it was dark, and there were moments that you could argue, may not have been worth including. I think that's a fair argument point. I don't necessarily feel like there should have been anything omitted, but I think it's fair to feel that way. I'm going to give it a 4.5 just because of that.
I think that's a fair stance to have about it. I think this is a very, this movie's like sandpaper. It's like very, very necessary, but boy, is it not particularly enjoyable.
Shocking.
It's coarse.
Yeah.
And
But I will say, I think the biggest problem that personally, or the difference I see between those two things is that the characters in Roll Bounce who are our heroes and the good guys are the ones who do shitty stuff in that movie. In this, like, the misogyny and the horrific events that happen are all done by people who are made out to be despicable humans. So at the very least, I think you can claim that. But I definitely, I don't hold anything against
Or
you.
just completely blameless because they're unaware of the way that society is supposed to work.
True. Yeah. Very interesting think piece, and certainly the kind of thing that we're always talking about here on Statesmen.
Absolutely. And the kind of things that we're always talking about on Statesmen is, of course, the senses. Anthony, you gotta put this movie into one of the rest.
Can we
sight, taste, and touch?
Those are the three we have left.
I might put this one in sight because it takes place within a very confined space, this property, but that isolated property is beautiful for what it is. If we had to be isolated in that home, I would not be complaining.
No, that's so true. That home is beautiful. The home is beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous interior design.
And his car is so cool. He's got like an old Mercedes or BMW.
This like little chubby little Mercedes.
They have an in-ground pool.
Tell me about it.
What do you guys have any other feelings about what it could be applied to?
I have a pitch for it to be our touch segment, because I do think out of the 5 movies we watched, this is the one that I think will touch me and I'll think about in the future, and I think has changed it's changed how I feel about some things, you know? So I definitely, that's where I personally think, Tim.
I see both of your points for the sight and for the touch. I could also even throw in, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so I'm not going to say it completely, but there are some taste elements that I think could
Actually, I think I'm switching my answer. It's all about taste. A tongue is a very important part of this movie.
The tongue is a very important organ as a part of the movie Dogtooth.
Yeah, and actually, the biggest muscle, one of the biggest muscles on the body.
Definitely the strongest. Definitely one of the strongest.
That's right. I could do push-ups with my tongue. What do you think, Daddy?
I could dangle from the roof with my tongue.
All right, so what are we thinking? Are we thinking sight, taste, or touch? I'm going with taste for me.
I think I'm going to double up on taste. What do you think, Anthony?
While it's crass, I'll jump in that pool with you. Let's go.
There we go. Okay, cool.
There are fish in the pool. That's from the movie. Watch the movie. All right.
Yeah, seriously, watch that movie. Okay, so we reviewed 3 out of 5 of the movies that we watched last night. We're going to move on to our next one, Onward, the new Pixar movie that just came out, that just got released to home video after the theater started to close down as a result of the coronavirus.
Yeah, it was only released as of record 2 weeks ago, and now it is available on Amazon Prime for $20 to buy permanently.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Now in my Amazon library, I will have Insidious and Onward next to each other forever.
Okay.
Hey, you don't have the original Watchmen 2009?
Nah, man, I'm going to on that one.
At least it's a movie that has tons of rewatch value. You'd watch that movie over and over again.
I'm a statesman, not a watchman.
Speaking of things I've watched over and over and over again, these two guys who are the leading roles in this movie. Here's a special sponsored clip from Chris Pratt and Tom Holland just broing out.
They're so funny. Let's hear it.
Hey, what's up, Internet? We're about to watch our new trailer for our new movie,
Onward.
There you go.
That was kind of British. Did you hear
It
that?
was good. I like that. It was good.
Yeah.
I got 5 out of 10.
I do accents. Have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
I haven't
yet.
seen it either. The following preview has been approved. Okay, to accompany this feature. That's good.
Okay,
we
as
got
long
the
as it was
approval.
Are
approved.
they doing an
then it's all
active
good.
watch along of the
It's a
trailer?
Pixar
Yes.
movie. I love
Pixar,
it.
baby.
Centaurs.
Are we doing an active watch along over their active watch along?
Yes.
I guess we kind of are right now.
Yeah.
Is this actually a fucking disaster? No, don't turn it down. Hold on, Anthony. What do you think?
Amazing.
This is such garbled audio. It's terrible.
I mean, crosstalk is always hard on podcasts, but I think this is actually going to be an interesting period of the podcast. All in favor of listening to all 2 minutes of this?
Sure.
Okay.
Minnesota. That's where Chris Pratt's from. How's that? 5 out of 10?
So good.
5 out of 10, I'd give you.
Visitation.
I think overall, let's just describe what Onward is about during this trailer.
Sure.
Would you mind?
Go ahead.
Onward is a story originally set out to be thought about fathers and sons, but it's actually about brothers and brothers. I think it's a story about
We should turn this
No,
up.
we can turn it up.
It looks so good.
So this is a story about two brothers who lose their father. He dies, and they get a spell in the magic. They're orcs. They're both like elf orcs, and they get a spell that can bring him back, but they only get half the spell done. So they get half their dad from the shoes up to the belt. He's wearing khakis and purple socks. And so they go on a large quest to bring back the other half of their dad before sundown, when he'll disappear forever. The younger brother has never met the dad. The older brother has a few memories before he got sick. This is a beautiful movie about the relationships within a family. They got Octavia Spencer as the Manicore. Anthony snorting Purell in his hand. I'm shaking the life boxes. This is Statesmen!
There's still a good, 30 seconds.
What do you mean? They go through all these different spells in the movie. I think kids are going to be talking about how fucking funny the spells are and, how magic is really cool. I think Tom Holland and Chris Pratt are the brothers in it. Tom Holland, do not spray that elk piss. Oh.
The fan is huge.
Wow.
And you're...
Oh, no.
Okay, you know what? I'll count it down with $5 boxes. $5, $4, $3, $2, $1 box left. The end. Okay.
I have a headache. I have a raging headache from that.
What about that was bad?
Wow. Well, Statesman listeners.
Anthony, during that segment, sprayed deer piss onto a napkin.
I also snorted some seasoning that was on the desk here. What a cacophonous...
That was the craziest thing I think we've done since the summer special.
Much like what I understand about this movie. It's just kind of this hodgepodge of goofy fantasy. Like the Manticore is straight out of Dungeons and Dragons.
Here's what sucks about this movie. It's dumb and it's not funny. Wow. Okay. I'm willing to give it this review right up front. I think this movie is probably a concept that pitched really well. That was what if all these fantasy characters were in the modern world with smartphones? And it's okay, that could be fun. But they never do anything particularly interesting with that idea. They're just kind of we got to make the gas can bigger to get the gas for the car. Or our boat is a giant Cheeto. I don't know. It just, for me personally, this movie did not make use of its whole premise. And that's the point of a Pixar movie for me is that there's this beautiful giant world that is lived in and created really well. And the characters, we're just watching, we believe other stuff is going on in the world. We're just watching a small character study within it. You know, your Wall-E's, your Inside Outs, whatever might have you. This feels like a Pixar movie, 100%. Or not a Pixar movie, I'm sorry. This feels like a DreamWorks movie. It's fine, but not anything I think will be memorable in any way.
I think that was a pretty brutal takedown, but I don't think it was entirely inaccurate. I think that it was, it's so hard to have an IP made in this day and age, especially by, Pixar or anything under the Disney umbrella. It's hard to get ideas like that off the ground. And I really appreciate the incorporation of fantasy into pop culture in general. I think it's such a fun world building area to explore. I'm a big fan of the Elder Scrolls games. I liked D&D when I played. And I think that I liked Game of Thrones. I liked, Lord of the Rings. So Swords and Shields fantasy has always appealed to me personally. I'm a big nerd. I used to write little stories and bring them into my English class about orcs and elves. Really cringeworthy now that I'm looking back on it. But
I don't think so. That's sweet.
Should find those writings and read them on mic for the Patreon.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be very fun. I've got an idea for you. Did you guys ever watch Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory?
No.
No.
The theme song for it was won't you live this fantasy life?
Nice.
Oh my God.
Overall, though, I thought it was like a middling effort. I thought that there were fun things that they did with the world, but not enough. And I think that it's such a ripe world to experiment and do things that you don't typically see in Pixar movies. And I think that they played it pretty safe and close to the chest. And I think that there was a little bit too much of the real world and not enough fantasy at certain points.
Definitely. That's what my criticism was that there wasn't enough fantasy and too much real world. The explanation for why there's so much real world is that magic died out or something, like the magic was too hard to harness. So the light bulb was invented and then
they were essentially
like,
died. It's so hard to cast a spell, but it's really easy to flick the switch of a light bulb. And it's like,
to me, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
but
magic is at the end, the kid was walking on air and shooting lightning bolts out of a wand. Like, use
Spoilers.
the wand.
Yeah.
Spoilers, buddy.
How dare you?
How dare
watch
I?
it. Onward. I agree with you. I think they didn't really stick to the premise all that much. Like, you can't say that magic is so hard to learn that, like, it makes more sense to invent all modern technology. Like, especially not when over the 90 minutes of this movie, we watch a boy become a wizard easily. Like, I guess we're having complaints about a child's movie, but in the end, the one thing that I really want to harp on is that Pixar, above all else, is supposed to be this, like, emotional, connective material. Like, I think no one can watch the first 7 minutes of Up and not at least have, like, a sniffle, right?
Totally.
That is a beautiful piece of filmmaking using, like, very simple imagery to process extreme emotions. This movie, I think, is a trick. Like, it's trying to make you feel those emotions without ever, I think, really having us buy into them, or like it's trying to fool you into thinking it's emotionally deep, when I don't know if it really is. There were moments that made me want to cry, but I feel like they were, like, specifically written for that idea and not the other way around, where it's like, I wrote this great thing and it makes you cry. It's, I wrote this thing to make you cry. It's not that great.
I'm sure it started in a place where it was trying to deeply explore those themes. I think that loss is a really, really important theme to explore, and I think it's one that Pixar really likes to use and explore because kids, unfortunately, have to deal with it early on in life all the time, and I think that it... thank you for not shaking the box during that really grounded moment.
What did you say?
But I think that...
Say it again.
I think that loss is...
Again.
I think that loss is, you know, a difficult theme to make feel genuine as well, because it relies so heavily on you caring about the characters or on the empathy of the audience in a world that, you know, we don't have a lot of empathy going into the theater most of the time. Or many viewers don't.
Not these days.
And I don't know. I think that it definitely started in the right place, but I just think that there were a couple things about it that were really frustrating. And I do think it did kind of wind up feeling a little hollow or falling a little flat because you didn't fully buy in, because it didn't fully buy in. If that makes sense.
That's nice.
This is another movie about father-child relationships, and coming right out of Dogtooth and moving to this movie, I did feel like even though the first one was much darker, it was more interesting. I obviously totally different subject matters and for different audiences, but I think there are better Pixar movies that deal with loss. And so I think if you're going to try and explore the same idea, you at least have to change things up more than just like, well, it turns out my brother was my dad, you know? Like, it's... I just don't think that's that interesting of a twist. If you can call it a twist at all. I think this is a movie that... a solid B- C+, you know?
Yeah.
Do we want to rate it out of Cinnamon Life boxes?
Yeah. I'd give Onward probably like a 2.5, maybe a 3. If I'm feeling generous.
I'm in the same exact place. I'll give it a 3 because I'll be generous.
I don't think I'll watch it again.
No,
but it's fine. I'll suggest it to like parents.
Well,
and
are you
kids.
sure you're not going to watch it again? You have it downloaded and bought.
That's true. I do have. I might as well get the play out of it. So if you want to come over to my house after all this is over, we'll watch Onward together.
I wouldn't really recommend this to anybody, especially at its current price point, unless they were, you know, trying to find a good family movie. And also, you could definitely do worse in the streaming world.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there are plenty of worse movies. I think that one thing that it is cool to point out is that, or one cool thing about this movie, rather, is that it did have, you know, some inclusive areas where it featured an LGBTQ character. And granted, you know, it was a monster. But
I would like to personally say on that, like, I am really tired of Disney companies touting their LGBTQ inclusivity when they are like our first LGBTQ character, and it's a character with 3 lines from one scene. Like, I think it's shitty to be like, finally, we're doing it. Star Wars, the first gay characters, and it's like 2 girls kiss in the background of a scene, and they remove it in China. I don't think we should be giving them props for these things when they are so clearly not made out of good decisions. They're made for like money, and I guess that's moving in the right direction, but I don't know. I think it's still kind of shitty in a way.
Yeah, lest we forget that Disney himself was an anti-Semite, and we still like throw around his last name as a multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah, certainly. So all that being said, I'll give it a 3 as well.
Well, we have to give it a sense, you know. Well, let's see what we got. We got
a sense of disappointment.
We got sight and touch.
Okay. I'm going to give this one touch. I think this one deserves touch because there were at least a few moments where there's one moment in particular at the beginning that I don't want to spoil because I think it's fun and interesting, but it involves the main character like having a way of connecting with his father through things he's left behind, even though he's dead. And I think that moment got me. A tear came out of my eye because it felt like a scene that was very genuine and real. And so this movie did touch me in that aspect, but I just, what's our sense?
Sight.
Absolutely. It's just not visually interesting. I'm sorry. There's like one fun visual gag with a dragon at the end, but past that, I'm like, this movie is just bland as fuck.
The visual gag with the dragon at the end is pretty funny.
I kind of liked the way it looked. I didn't think it looked terrible. I definitely thought there was room for it to look even better and to have more fun set pieces, more fun characters.
Their hair.
Yeah, I didn't like the way their hair looked.
It was gross. I don't want to touch it.
I will say that, in my opinion, the only sense that we could give to this movie is touch, because, of course, with Magic Mike,
I know,
our final movie,
it's all about the eye candy.
Nope, there's no touching.
I see a lot of lawbreakers in the crowd tonight.
I mean, I'll fall into place here. Touch totally. I cried twice during the movie, 2 separate times. But I'm an easy crier, so easy to pull tears out of me. That's all I got to say. I don't know. Onward we go.
It's easy to pull tears out of Tim. Keep that in mind if you're thirsty.
Don't make me
listeners
cry.
At home.
Don't make me cry.
Thirsty?
I really hope it's easy to pull a nice finish out of this episode.
It's not just going to be easy.
Hey, we're going to land the split with this Magic Mike of a movie coming up next.
Well, we got to lock in touch for Onward.
Touch. Oh, yeah, touch.
Lock it in.
Rock and roll.
What are you whispering to me, Anthony?
Didn't you have questions that you wanted to explore regarding Onward?
Oh, yeah. I have the March Onward questions that I came up with during the movie.
This will give us a good little shot of electricity, like the electricity that comes out of the magic staff and Onward for the end of the episode.
So, let's
5
see.
boxes of Cinnamon Life still on the table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So there are a couple of questions that I came up with for Onward, just to spice this whole thing up a little bit.
How many questions?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Fuck.
We can subtract 1, maybe.
No.
Okay. Well, at one point in the movie, the main character is going out to save his father. Conjure the rest of his father's body up. And he creates a new me list. What are 5 things that you would change about yourself today?
Okay, these are fun. Number 1, change my height. Make me 6'8".
Okay.
Number 2, change my eye color. Red. Number 3, I want to be able to sense danger. Yeah. Number 4, I want to be able to, I never want to get tired of food. That's a superpower I'd really like to have, because like when you have a lot of a single kind of food, like it's easy to get tired of it and not want to open like the second out of maybe 5 boxes of life that you have and you don't want. So that might be a good power. And my 5th one, I think I'd just like to be able to just be a little bit more conscious of the feelings of others in a social situation.
Nice.
Anthony?
I would love to get more athletic. I would love to be more adventurous, like our, starring duo in Onward.
Ian and Barley.
I would love to get back into playing bass, pick that back up.
Cool.
And I would also love to be able to scale tall buildings.
Whoa. Okay.
Is that 4 or 5?
That's 4.
Like the 4 strings on a bass, add a 5th.
Oh, okay. Scale tall buildings like a spidery boy. And then have a little more control over my sleep schedule. Maybe feel more rested when I lie down, even for short bursts.
You're out of control for your sleep schedule?
It's out of control.
Your sleeping's out of control?
It's out of control!
I would probably change my height, for sure. I definitely want to be taller.
6'8"?
I don't know about that tall.
Dumb of you to say
Give me
that.
6'2". 6'2" seems like a fine height.
Can you dunk?
I will at 6'2", absolutely.
Doubt it.
Be more athletic, for sure.
To dunk?
Be kinder or conscious of like how I affect people.
So you can be more conscious of spatially how you're occupying the court, so you can dodge right past them and go up for a dunk.
I mean, you had it. Be like a little bit more go with the flow, I suppose. Sometimes I feel like I'm hard to motivate to do stuff that I don't want to do.
Mm-hmm. I hope your 5th one is be more decisive so we can pick something and move on. Uh-oh.
Camden, how about you?
Well, Tim doesn't get another one?
He gets one more. Come on, say it. Heart to heart with dad. Heart to heart with dad.
Okay, heart to heart with dad.
Oh, well, I don't want to make it for you.
No, that would be nice. I would like to have a heart to heart with my father.
That sounds nice.
I would like for my hair to be perfectly messy all the time, and I would like I'd like to own a one-piece full body onesie tight thing, and I'd like a pair of recycled boots that I fished out of the river, and I'd like a best friend named Hamlet the hamster, and I'd like to owe copious amounts of money to a raccoon that I barely know.
Okay,
Hold on a minute.
Changing nothing about yourself, but that's great.
I like that you're broadening your horizons.
Thanks.
Okay.
I have another question for you guys.
Okay.
What mythical being are you?
Ooh.
Out of all of the... so I was watching Onward, and there are plenty of mythical beings that you could be. Here's the list of the ones that I found. Ogre, centaur, troll, cave troll, satyr, dragonkin, fairy, manticore, elves, or a cyclops.
I just want to put it out there that it's kind of fucked up that we differentiate trolls and cave trolls just because of where they live. It's kind of actually racist.
Look, I don't know how to differentiate the gray trolls of the movie and the purple trolls of the movie.
You don't need to. They're both trolls.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to delete that in my notes. Sorry, all trollkin out there.
I would actually say, anybody who's seen my online presence would know immediately that I'm a troll.
Jesus Christ.
Turn it off.
Boy.
Turn the podcast off.
No, but actually, I do think I align more with a manticore.
Okay.
Yeah, you do have some manticore energy. I could see you whipping out a big scorpion tail.
Mm-hmm. And bringing out a map for fellow adventurers to follow. Interesting. What shall I be? What shall I be? Perhaps some sort of pan-fluting satyr.
I could see you as a satyr.
I got the little legs of a goat, and I walk around, and I'm a little bit hairy below the waist.
I'm either an elf or a fairy. I'm not sure. I could see myself with a couple of cute little wings and a wand, perhaps. But the fairies in this movie were punk biker gang fairies.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
I thought it was cool.
What would you be?
Manticores slap, but I've always identified with the gnomes and fairies, the smaller
small,
creatures.
yeah.
Sure,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. We're small of stature, large of heart.
Indeed.
And they live some of the spiciest lives we'll ever know.
They also tend to be the smartest creatures in role-playing games.
Damn. Damn, son. Where'd you learn that?
Damn.
All right. Who is your mom's best friend?
Okay. It's a strange one.
It relates to the movie because the mom in this movie finds a new best friend with the manticore.
Yeah.
That's Louis Dreyfus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She's fine. Doesn't really get a lot to do in the movie.
Yeah, she really doesn't. She plays like a badass character, but there's just not much to her.
No. Well, there's some things to her. Anthony, what do you think? Who's your mom's best friend?
You know, I'm not just saying this as a cop-out answer, but my dad, my dear old pop.
That's really fucking sweet.
Nice. Jeez, a
That's fucking sweet.
lifelong marriage.
Very begrudging shakes of the box.
I think that's a good answer. I'm trying to think of who my mom's. She has a couple of friends from. She went to college with, her Mells, her Erics. I don't know their names, and I won't say them either. I think one of them is Schweinhagen. So I don't know. Look up if they're from like Brazil or something. Tim, what do you think about your mom's friends?
My mom's friends are cool. I haven't met most of them in person.
Weird.
They're all her tennis friends. She plays a lot of tennis, so the people who she plays in her league with are probably her best friends.
Well, hopefully there's not a lot of love between them score-wise. You know what I'm saying?
Tennis?
I'm going to take a deuce on your chest, man.
Tim, you said you hadn't been introduced to your mom's friends. It almost feels like she's living a double life.
Stu is shaking
I
two
cannot
boxes of
believe
life.
how long that joke has gone on. It's really quite impressive.
Yeah,
man.
it's got a half-life of 1,000 years.
Who are your mom's best friends?
My mom's got lots of best friends. Shout out Maureen. Yeah, my mom's got friends.
Cool. I believe you.
Thanks.
I have two separate questions, but I'm going to combine them.
Yeah.
What is your dad's wizard name?
That's a big plot point in Onward. I think my dad's wizard name is going to be something funny. His name is Scott, and so I'm going to call him the Scofflaw Scott. He's a bad boy wizard, and he breaks the law. Anthony?
I'd say Jim Jam the Jovial.
Funny. Oh, God. Camden?
Phasmodius.
And what's your dad's name?
Modius, right?
My dad's name is Lee.
Okay.
Where are you getting Phasmodius from?
I'm pretty sure it's a D&D character that I made one time.
Cool.
Okay,
And he
yeah.
reminded you of your dad, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Tim?
All right. My dad's wizard name would probably be Maleficent.
Have any other questions?
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Wait a minute. You combined the last two questions into one. So total, how many questions did you ask us?
I have technically one more. Do you want to answer this last one?
Yes.
Okay. Who would you cast your visitation spell for? And what part of the body do they come back with?
So the visitation spell is what allows these kids to see their dead dad after he's passed. So we get to bring any dead person back from the grave for 24 hours, but we can only decide on one part of their body?
Right. During your visitation spell, you mess up and you conjure only one part of their body.
Okay.
What part of the body do you conjure up?
I would assume whoever I'm picking, I gotta pick the head so I can talk to them. I guess.
You wish you had that much control.
Okay, so I don't get to choose.
You don't get to choose at all.
Okay.
Anthony?
Interesting.
I would choose historical figure Jesus Christ to walk beside me at all times, so I'd choose the bottom half.
Okay, Camden?
But wait, won't there be only one set of footprints?
Whoa.
Okay, you go, Camden.
Wow.
Stop.
I'd pick like the torso and arms of a teacher I had in high school. His name was Mr. Skrull, and he was epic as fuck. And he was really big on service work and stuff, and did a bunch of after school shit with us kids. And he died of pancreatic cancer a few years ago. It was really sad, but he was epic, and I would want his hand so he could come back and like keep on helping stuff with his hands.
That's really sweet.
Wow, that's
sorry
really
to
sweet.
dive bomb the pod right now.
Thank you for giving an actual answer.
Yeah,
You're
for real.
welcome.
Inspired by that, I want to give a genuine answer to the question. I would bring back the right arm of Exodia.
From the graveyard.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think we can move on.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
That was a disaster.
Shout out loyal listener Seto Kaiba.
So we've
Joey's sister's blind.
I don't know, Yug.
It's gonna be Yug.
What's the last movie?
No, we did them.
We have to give the full breakdown of Magic Mike.
Yeah, we watched Magic Mike last. We finished up Onward, and we were about to go to bed.
But then we got a little frisky.
We decided, let's tease a little bit of Magic. We'll watch 20 minutes of Magic Mike.
Yeah, we've got one more ride ahead of us, cowboys.
And you guys were going down the list of these movies before we started today, and just kept on going down the list. You guys were like, The Meg, have you seen it, Camden? And I was like, no. Dogtooth, you seen it? No. Roll Bounce, you seen it? Nope. Onward, you seen Onward yet? Nope. Then you finally got to Magic Mike. And finally I could say,
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Wow. Okay. Genuine. This movie was genuine entertainment.
Yeah, genuinely funny and fun.
You know what you need to do before you eat a box of Life is get your mouth a little wet so you can masticate that cereal, right? And this thing wet me up.
Oh, you know what my favorite candy at the movie is? Magic Mike and Ike's.
nice.
God. Oh man, Magic Mike. If you haven't seen it yet, a lot of people think of it only for its stripper sequences, but it is a movie with a little bit more heart than that. It's about it's a story of a brother and sister who are in Tampa, and the brother's kind of in a weird place in his life. He got kicked off of a football team. He lost his scholarship for school, so he's living on her couch, and he gets swept up into the world of male stripping in Tampa. Very, very kind stripper, Mike, played by Channing Tatum, takes him under his wing and brings him into the club owned by Matthew McConaughey, who is so good in this movie as Dallas.
Yeah, he's if he's Dallas, I'm the Buyers Club. Gimme, I say. I want him. This movie rules. There's so many cut bods. There's so many fun sequences. And while it seems like a stupid movie on the surface, I think it's actually like a really interesting commentary on like people like kind of treading water in their 20s, especially during the financial collapse of the 2000s and the vicious hurricane seasons in Florida that kind of what happened before and after that.
I didn't take the context of the movie. I didn't realize to like attribute or at least put Magic Mike into the same world as ours, where it's like post-hurricane, post-financial collapse.
So much of the movie is about Mike trying to start his own businesses and how he cannot get loans because of
his bad credit.
He got bad credit after there was a large hurricane and he had to like purchase a bunch of stuff and couldn't and defaulted on credit card loans. A lot of the movie is about like people working job to job at like construction, building McMansions down in Florida, which of course, financial collapse, all of that kind of stuff. Like, this movie is actually about like kind of the American dream.
Wow. Yeah, that's totally true.
Yeah, it's also about how reputation can hold you back or lift you up, depending on who you are. It's a really interesting examination of like what goes on inside the heads of people who are in unique situations like that.
Yeah, it also, it's one of those classic sort of like Bulldungscrimin, like stories of like a young man going through this great change. Alex Pettyfer's character, gross first and last name. Don't like the guy. Bad face, bad tattoos, but he's fine in the movie. He like comes in as this nervous little guy, and by the end of it, he's like selling pills and he's crazy and he's the head stripper at the club. And Mike, on the other hand, comes in as this confident, like everything's going great for this guy, and then we slowly show that like, really, the cracks in the facade are really the only thing that's there. It's all cracks, which is what I like to see on stage, but I don't know.
A classic Icarus story. Mike being Daedalus, the father of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun. Magic Micarus.
Yep, that's good. I think we're giving this movie a lot of credit. I think Steven Soderbergh's a pretty great director, and he knows how to make it interesting. I think one of the most interesting aspects of this movie is the visual differences between daytime and nighttime. I think all of the day is constantly washed out and boring looking and lifeless.
Yellow and like just like it's a hot sun. It's a rotten, humid, hot, rotten sun.
Yeah, it's putrid as opposed to the night scenes in the strip club, which are just like vibrant and crisp, and they look like this is where life is actually going on until the very end of the movie, where that actually makes like a bit of a visual change to show that Mike's opinion has changed. Guys, I think we're all kind of on the same page. Like, we like this movie.
The dancing, we didn't even get to the dancing. The dancing is phenomenal. Channing Tatum can move his body like a fucking worm. It's insane.
Amazing choreography, amazing performances on that stage. It was a real blast. I think it's a fun one.
Do we want to name which of the strippers we think we all are? Because I know right off the back, I'm taking Tarzan off the board. He is me. Tarzan, the largest of the strippers, obviously the scariest, the least amount of lines.
The least amount of, I mean, you see him on the dance stage, and he does nothing. He stands there and maybe gets on the ground.
He swings on a rope once, and he picks up a lady and takes her away.
That's okay. You're right.
That's not why I want to be him. I want to be him because his body looks uncomfortable.
It does look uncomfortable.
And sometimes I feel a little uncomfy in my own skin. Who do you guys think you'd be up on stage?
I don't know. I don't really like. They don't really show the other dancers with huge amounts of like, I don't know. They don't really show it all that much. They show like maybe each one of them one time, and they don't have very like distinct characters. If I have to, I'm going to go with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, damn!
I think I'm sitting behind Alex, and I'm coaching him how to gyrate those little hips.
Yeah, you just like keep slapping his nipples and stuff, going like, "Come on, you need these, pump these up."
Damn, I was going to take Dallas, but I think instead I'm going to take
Matt Bomer,
Mike. I'm
Magic
take
Mike.
I think I'm a Magic Mike because, I too own a bunch of flat-brimmed hats that I regret. That don't fit my head well.
Yeah, all that time you worked at Lids.
If you were a general manager at Lids. If the three of us are strippers, then Camden, you working the sound and audio, you must be Gabriel Iglesias in the movie, the DJ of the strip club, who also sells drugs.
Hell fucking yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well,
I've always wanted to be Gabriel Iglesias.
How many boxes of life would you give this movie? Camden, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, you watched the movie.
Yeah, it's the only one I've seen. With the newfound context, I, like Tim, didn't consider the context of the 2008 recession and everything that Florida has dealt with in recent past. 4.5.
Wow, yeah.
Nice. Stinger of a film. It's been a while since I've seen it. I'd love to go back and rewatch it.
And that's 4.5 soft, right?
Penis pumped 5. I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 4.5.
Okay.
Not as good, not as like impactful for me as Dogtooth. The craft is not quite there, but it's so much fun, and there is some stuff. There's some oomph to it.
Mm-hmm. I have to give this movie similar to you. I think I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's genuinely a more interesting film than it is given credit for. And I appreciate any piece of art that works on two levels. Like, one, as this is a movie that everybody can go out to and get horny to in the theater. But also, if you think about it, it's like also sort of a high level look at like the lower percentage of people living paycheck to paycheck in Florida in the mid to late 2000s, Anthony?
Call up Alex Pettifer and tell him he'll need a new number, because I give this movie 4.
He was, of course, in I Am Number 4.
Oh.
And I am giving it number 4.
And let me just scroll through my boxes. 1, 2, 3, and this is number 4.
Jesus Christ. Okay, well, we don't have any choice as to what sense we give this one.
But we planned for it because I feel like this is the correct sense for it. Sight! It looks good.
It really does. Yeah, it looks good. We've kind of already explained what this thing looks like. Yeah. The spectacle of the dances is fantastic.
The visual dichotomy between night and day. I think Steven Soderbergh knows how to work a camera, and he knows how to make you feel things. There are a couple of long takes in this thing of just like Channing Tatum acting that I'm like pretty impressed by.
Honestly, two of my favorite things, Soderburgers.
Ugh. Oh, God.
Out of all these movies, that's an interesting thing. Out of all these movies, if you could isolate the performance that stood out most to you, Who would you pick?
The performance that stood out the most.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Tarzan performance was really just stands out.
It stands out just because you're feared. You're like, I know he's in the background of this shot. I want to know what Tarzan is doing right now because I don't ever want him to leave my sight.
Out of all the movies that we watched, the performance that takes home the money for me is.
Yeah. You know?
Maybe you go first.
I have right off the bat. I know for sure it's the elder in Dogtooth, the oldest child out of the three. She goes through some crazy stuff, and the way she reacts to some things in such an alien and inhuman way really makes you think about the character differently. Tim, you made
the soda burger joke before. I wanted to point out, in our episodes, we have sodas, we have burgers, and coming up, we have Steven. Foreshadowing.
Jesus.
Anthony, who is your favorite performance?
I definitely think the eldest was amazing in Dogtooth. I'm going to give it to Channing for me. He was the most surprising. I think that is really his best work yet that I've seen. I'd also give a little bit of credit to Jason Statham. I think that he held that movie down.
North Carolina.
Yeah. There's so many people who are dragging me every which way. Matthew McConaughey has a fantastic performance in Magic Mike. Channing Tatum has a fantastic performance in Magic Mike. Jason Statham is so cool in every movie that he plays, including The Meg. But honestly,
oh shit, the father in Roll Bounce.
I was just thinking the
father
same thing.
in Roll Bounce.
Oh my God,
I think the dad in Roll Bounce has a lot of meat to chew on these bones, and I'm not talking about the ribs that they get at that dinner at one point.
What's that? What is the actor's name? He's been in so much as a character
great
actor.
Character actor. He's the side detective in Pushing Daisies is the number one thing I know him from. Do you know his name right off the bat, Tim?
Oh no. I'm searching Google right now and I'm just absolutely failing on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a real disappointment if we're unable to bring it up. You guys want to do that trailer for Onward again and let me talk over it?
Kenneth Chai McBride is his name.
Cool. I don't know how much of that little section of you looking that up we're going to cut out, but for the listener at home, it felt like a lifetime.
It was a lifetime. But yeah, Chai McBride is a fantastic character actor and has been in so much. The Terminal, iRobot, Gone in 60 Seconds, Hawaii Five-0.
I forgot that he was the police captain in iRobot. He doesn't believe the robots are bad, but then he fights them at the end.
So fucking cool. Well, we watched all 5 of these movies, guys.
Yeah.
We talked all about all 5 of them. We even rated them with our 5 senses.
And 5 boxes of Life cereal.
So why don't we go around in the circle, starting with Stuart, to Anthony, to Camden, then to myself, to talk about how watching these 5 movies last night has made us feel today.
Can't wait to hear how Camden felt about it. I think this is, like I said at the beginning, this is a strange time for American history. It's a time when a boy clutching 5 boxes of Cinnamon Life to his chest while recording a podcast about watching 5 movies is not that strange of an occurrence. I think you can't say that about a lot of times in human history, and so I'm just trying to enjoy every day we have while we have it. And hey, for all of you out there accusing me of hoarding food by having all of these boxes of Cinnamon Life, well, I'll play the role. Camden?
I'm the bad guy.
Duh! Oh, shit! All right, that's the end of mine, I guess.
Anthony?
Man.
Obviously, yeah, this is a really tough time for the world. And it's just a really difficult time to be alive. You're just kind of floating in a void, and you got to find the ways to give yourself a silver lining when you can. Obviously, there are certain situations that make that more difficult, and I completely empathize with everybody who is in these tough times. My heart goes out to you. But it was, in a way, the best way to use that day, I thought. Just getting together and all focusing on some very dumb and wild things, sparking conversations between ourselves, and revisiting some things that I would roll over with less time, and then exploring some new territories as well that I thought were really fun and charming. Overall, I think that is a pretty solid day of viewing. listeners, if you want to go and walk the Statesman path, go ahead.
Oh man,
5 films,
but
one day.
Yeah, it's a weird time to be alive right now, but we have each other's backs where we can.
Camden,
I would make another time to die, no time to die joke. Well, let's see if I can do it.
God, yikes, don't
That's not
set
how
up
it's supposed
any
to work.
joke like that.
I would say that there's no time for Mike, but with no time to hike, it seems like that there's only time for Mike, because Magic Mike was the only movie of the ones that we talked about that I have seen.
Oh, so you could make the joke.
Yes.
It worked.
I guess I just did.
It was good.
Can't wait to check out the rest of these movies. Actually, I'll probably only watch Dogtooth, TBH. I'll probably wait for Onward to be on streaming somewhere for the shock value of the dragon gag that you're talking about at the end, and to
Good gag.
watch Tom Holland and Chris Pratt fumble through the Player's Handbook of Dungeons and Dragons in animated film. Tim?
we, the Statesmen, are talking to you behind our magic mics to look forward into the future and perhaps move onward. Once we lose our dog tooth, we'll be able to get out of this terrible situation and roll or bounce to go see the Meg once again. If you have any questions or concerns about the great 50 states of the Statesmen, reach out to us on Twitter at StatesmanPod, on Facebook and Instagram at Statesman Podcast, or by email at statesmanpodcast@gmail.com. Please like, rate, share, and share the show with your friends because it helps the show out a lot. And be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/statesmanpodcast because that also helps our show out a lot. I'm out of a job. Camden, thanks once again for trekking outside of the pandemic to come to our apartment to talk to us about something you weren't a part of.
Don't gotta twist my arm.
Stu?
This was fun.
Anthony? You got anything to plug?
I'm gonna not plug anything other than the opportunity to go online and check out your friends' posts right now. There are lots of links going up. I'm not gonna name drop any specifically because they're constantly changing. There are more being added and taken down, but there are all sorts of great ways to crowdfund people who are affected by the pandemic situation, whether they're out of work or worse, they're experiencing symptoms or they know someone they can't, go and assist themselves. So, where you can, make sure that you give back in this trying time. It's a really complicated time. Just be good to each other and understand that regardless of your situation, there is probably somebody who's in a much rougher situation, and even something small can be a meaningful gesture in a time like this.
Stuart.
You can follow me at Stuart Highcar on Twitter and Instagram. And I'd like to echo what Anthony said. There are a couple of great crowdfunding platforms where you can support a lot of the theaters in Chicago, which are having to lay off staff and shut down for these many months. Most of them were apparently operating with absolutely zero stored cash. So the second they had to cancel shows, they also had to cancel their venues. And that's a really terrible thing. So I recommend everybody go out, search those out. There's one for CIC, the Playground, Annoyance. If you want to donate to the Second City, I guess you can.
They're fine.
Yeah, they're going to be okay. I think, again, support your fellow creators right now. If you're an artist, if you're a consumer of art, there's other ways to be supportive. Get on Patreon and support those folks who might have lost their job but are still creating. And if you're one of those people out here whose mouth has been watering since I started the podcast, thinking about this life, ha 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 ha, none for you.
Hey, and just keep your head up, On behalf of my junior statesman, Anthony Rossi, and Stuart Highcar, I'm your elder statesman, Tim Ferrari. Stay healthy and stay positive.
Alex Pettyfur, the pettiest fur I know, is on the Orange Cat Garfield.
Wow. I hope the next episode is not like a Drake mixtape from 2017.
Guys, we talked about our mother's friends, but we didn't talk about how we met our mother's friends.
More life.